first pre-match mix pod of the year. How are we all doing? How are we feeling?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yeah.
So we trying to change the format a little bit this time around, aren't we, Cole? So we're trying to bring guests on, and our first guest for this year is Owen Barry. Now, Owen, you are currently assistant manager at Ashby Ivanhoe FC.
Yep.
Been that's in the ninth tier of the pyramid, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but before then, you were a scout for top clubs like West Brom, Aston Villa, Leicester. Career spanning 7 years.
Yeah. So I've been all over, to be fair. Burton Albion was the first one, actually. It's not on there though. So yeah, I've been all over, to be fair. Scouting, literally just about to join another club. I can't say who yet, but it, bigger than them ones. Let's just say that for now.
I thought we were getting breaking news then, Owen.
No, it's very. I'm in London now, to be fair, sorting it all out. There's a clue.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So we've got a few questions for you, Owen. Obviously, you've had a quite storied career. You've been looking at scouts and players and all things like that at the very top level. So I think just get you on. We'll have a bit of a chat, pick your brains, see what we can kind of glean, and yeah, just have a bit of a chat really.
Sorted, yeah.
Murph, Cole, do you want to have a go?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So we jotted some questions down between us, really, Owen. So big thank you for coming on, first of all. Really, really appreciate it. Very good of you to give up your time. I thought I'd start off before I probably ask you about scouting and managing, really, but just tell us a little bit about your experience in the game and what you're doing right now. I was going to ask, but you've sort of part that.
Yeah, so obviously I never played at professional level or anything like that. Always been involved in football in some capacity. Played Sunday league with my mates, Saturday league when I was a bit younger. Knew I was never going to sort of cut it, but I wanted to stay involved. And how I sort of got into football, like at the level I did, was, I'm not gonna lie, by accident. So I knew somebody who knew somebody, and I was at a boxing weigh-in, and literally from there he was like, "Do you want to do some scouting?" Obviously, I was a bit like, "Yeah, all right then." Give him my number, person you see in a bar. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I'm sat in Costa with my mates, and I get a phone call. It's such and such from Leicester City. Hey, you want to come and do some scouting? I was like, yeah, have I just won the lottery or something? And started off doing the kids stuff down under 6, 7 years old, and then worked my way all the way up to full time just before COVID.
Brilliant. So how long were you doing the scouting for? And are you going to continue doing that?
Yeah, so I've been doing it since I was 18. And well, I'm 27 nearly now, so I've been doing it nearly 10 years. And the aim is to go as far as I can with it, but I'm sort of looking more to go abroad now in a few years' time. I've been in England for a long time doing it, and I think it's the right time to broaden my horizons, shall we say, because I've done first team level in Europe and Africa, so I've quite a unique area. And then I've done the kids stuff as well, so I think it's the right time now to start looking abroad to try my hand at it, shall we say. Football's a game of trying.
Yeah, brilliant backstory that. I mean, what a story starting off, and yeah, word of mouth, isn't it? And touching on a bit of luck. So my first question would be then, what do you look for in a player, and does that change depend on the club, level, manager?
Yeah, so obviously it all comes at the end of the day. If the club's got a sporting director, they sort of implement it with the manager, the sort of player and the style of player they want. But if they haven't, like I've been at clubs where they don't have a sporting director, and as scouts, it's our job then to work with the manager to look at what he wants in the position. So, for example, it's very unusual. You'll have a scout for every single age group. You normally have pre-acad to, I don't know, 12, 13 to 16. So like your YDP phase, and then your scholarship phase, your professional developmentship phase, you sort of have a scout, and then you've got your first team lads. So within them subcategories, you sort of have to meet with that age group manager, what he's after, what they want, what the club want. Some clubs have a philosophy: give me the biggest player you can find. Some clubs want the most athletic player you can find. So it's very, very different depending on where you are. And I've mainly done a lot of clubs in the Midlands, so like Leicester, West Brom, Villa, Burton, and they sort of want a very different kind of player to say somebody in London.
Yeah.
And the catch pull for us in the Midlands is massive because you have to, in academy phases, you have to stay within, I think it's 90 minutes of the training ground. So our catch pool we're 90 minutes away from like Northampton, Oxford, top end of London, bottom end of like Manchester. So we could sort of pull that. Whereas like
Yeah,
if you're looking at a club, for example, I know Portsmouth,
yeah,
they're 90 minutes away, or Exeter, their 90 minutes takes you to maybe Bournemouth or something. So it's a lot harder for them. So it's all subjective. But when you get to first team level or 23s or scholarship, that's when you can start buying players. And that's where
yeah.
you start going from Europe. Obviously Brexit's put a bit of a stop on that, but yeah.
It's a great, isn't it? And sort of, I didn't realise yet. So if you're on the coast, for example, or on the northwest, so we're in Liverpool, where we're based. If you go a little bit further, your pool might only be, say, half as big as someone central like yourself. So I didn't realise that myself.
Yeah, and obviously it's a lot harder as well because like obviously you've got your different categories. You've got your Cat 1s, your Cat 2s, your Cat 3s, and I call it your non-leagues. And obviously if you're going for a Cat 1, a Cat 2 club will look at the Cat 1 releases. So it's like a bit of a chain. This is just academy speaking. And again, that still has to fit into the 90 minutes until you hit 16 when you can go for your scholarships. And that's when I'm pretty certain, I haven't done an academy for a long time, but if you sign someone in an academy for your scholarship, you have to provide them education and accommodation. So that's
Yeah,
where like your digs come in, your host families come in, and a lot of clubs have their own in-house education or private schools they're linked with. So all of that
yeah,
has to be factored into a player as well.
yeah. Makes perfect sense. That. Thank you, mate. And how detailed are scout reports? So, is the key things expected to be included based on what you said before in that report of certain clubs or managers might want key things in it? But how detailed are these reports? Are they half a page, couple of pages?
So each club is very different. So they normally have either in like at Villa we had an internal platform how we did it. At West Brom it was I'm trying to think that's a few years ago now. It was on Excel, but it was like an Excel or Google sheet, but again preset questions. Whereas at Leicester we had the old school. You're writing it down, you're typing it up, you're sending them in. Some clubs only want you to report on players that they're going to action. Some clubs want you to report on everyone. It completely depends on where you are, who the manager is, who the sporting director is, who the academy manager is, or the head of recruitment. But the depth you go into is subjective to the age. So,
Yeah,
like, if you're looking at a pre-acad player, you just look at the four corners. Can they move? Can they play? How do they strike a ball left foot, right foot? Whereas when you get to your 13s, 14, 16 scholars, you sort of look in what's their hip rotation like, how fast do they move, are their legs going with the same way as their body? It's changing because you're more of an asset then. And then obviously
yeah,
your first team is if you're a Cat 2 or 3 club, are we going to sign him? Can we sell him on for a fee? So you're looking at that side of it, you're looking more futuristic. Whereas if you're top of the top, cream of the Premier League, you're looking, can this player make us money or win us title? So
yeah,
where you are in the pyramid really does determine the sort of depth you go into.
yeah. And on players as well, is attitude and mentality important as much as assessing the ability of the player?
Yeah, no, massive. So a lot of clubs won't let their players play football if, for example, they've got a bad school report. So they work closely with them. And I've been at clubs, I won't say which one because it got a bit of controversy in the past. They stopped a certain age group from competing in certain tournaments because they didn't get the best reports at school. They're getting into trouble outside of the football pitch. And obviously it reflects bad on the club then. So they've turned that around since then. But attitude and mentality is massive. And that's instilled in them from a young age because you're fortunate to be in that environment. So they've just got to realize that from a young age that they've got it now, but should their attitude or the mentality or they think they've made it because they've got a trial doesn't change, how quick it can go. So that's all instilled at an early age.
Yeah, I suppose that's good because obviously the media coverage for football as well, they're trying to prepare them for the outside life, just not what they do on the pitch, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, massive. And they're all media trained from like 14 years old now. So
Yeah, yeah, they are. For young players hoping to make it in the game, then what would be your 3 areas to focus on if you had a young player, any age really, or would it be different? Say a young player under 10 or between 10 and 16. What would be 3 things that you'd maybe give them tips on? Oh, and if you were to choose 3 off the top of your head.
first ones, don't give up. I know players that have had trials, got rejected, dropped into non-league, and worked their way back up. Obviously, managing and assistant managing in non-league is sort of like I've got that route for players. So obviously it's helpful for me because if I want a good player, they're going to obviously trust me that I might be able to open a door to him somewhere else.
Yeah.
So don't give up. That's massive because one club might say no, but you might be the perfect fit for another club, but it's all different. Don't be disheartened as well. Football is a game of disappointments. Like you might have the worst game of your life one week, go home, absolutely beat yourself up about it, have an awful evening, awful Sunday, whatever. But then the next week you might be like the best game you've ever played. So it's literally you can't beat yourself up over one bad performance. And the third one I'd probably say is just dedication. That's all it is. It's a lifestyle, not just it's a hobby, yes, but everything around it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, great points. And I suppose that reflects in the work environment as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have a bad day at work or a bad week at work, you can't let it ruin your year. And I was thinking prior to this as well, because I honestly don't know the answer to this, but how young do children get scouted nowadays, Owen? What was the age? What clubs do they try and get in there? As it's sort of over 20, 30 years where they've got younger and younger and younger, would you say?
Yeah, so I think the youngest I've seen them get eyes on someone's probably 4 years old.
Wow.
So pretty much as soon as you can run. Because you get some, like I remember a few years ago, Xavi Simons, there's videos of him on YouTube and that when he was like 3, 4 years old, playing for Barcelona's their version of the pre-academy. And you can spot it in an early age with how they move. Like some kids, like 3 years old, kicking a ball, clubs will have eyes on them already.
Easy.
And a lot of parents are now putting videos on Instagram and sending them around. And
yeah.
And
do you often look at videos and things as well? Do you keep half your eye on videos and while
sometimes if you get repeat ones of the same one, you'll have a look. But honestly, if I looked at every video or every message, I get hundreds of messages a week on LinkedIn. Hi, Sir Owen Barry, can I have trial for your club? if I read every single one or responded to every single CV a parent sends me of the next Ronaldo, I'd never get any work done.
Yeah, I've started using LinkedIn again after many years of being away in it, and that's probably the hardest thing. I'm adding people in, but some of the names I'm looking at, I'm thinking, are these even real people? Some of them, because some of them you click on the profile, you might have reposted one or two things, and you're not sure. And I guess it's the same for you. You've probably got a lot of players, or are they players or aren't they players when they're sending you things?
It's agents as well. So like people who they sign them up early doors, and because obviously they've got a massive catalogue of players. They're just trying to chuck them to every scout they can to get them a trial or a move. And obviously, I've been quite fortunate to work in Championship and above, Premier League for the majority. They see that and then they're like, right, this is our way in. But honestly, that's one bit of advice for agents: don't do that.
Yeah, because you can get flooded with them as well. And if you're getting agents trying to send you stuff, and especially when it's not the required quality what you want, it's probably going to be an X against them, isn't it? If you can remember.
Yeah, it's very rare you pick up any. I don't think I've actually ever picked up a player from that way.
No.
In one league, I have though. So on the contrary, so it's just a bit off topic. Obviously, at Ashby, I've had players message me on there that have played at step 3, step 4, and then obviously know where I am here, and they'll put in, "Oh, could we come down for a session?" And I've had 2 players sign that way, but that's non-league. It's not professional. It's a different ball game. You haven't got to go through all the hoops you have for a professional club.
Yeah, that sounds like probably people with good intentions prepared to start at that level and work hard and maybe get a foot in the game. Maybe probably not. What was the guy who was at Southampton who said he was George Weah's cousin?
Oh. He scored though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Graham Souness gave him a game, didn't he?
Yeah, he come on his way. He scored, I'm pretty sure.
Did he? Yeah, blimey. So I suppose another question would be, and this is one from Iain. So Iain, who's on the podcast, who you can see, who will do a little bit on music in a day. Iain's a North West music promoter, done it for around 8 years, but he also manages a Sunday League team, Iain, as well. When I mentioned that you were coming on, he one of the questions he said was, if someone wants to become a scout, what would be the starting point, Owen?
Unlike a lot of things, it's actually a free course you do online. So the first course you do is level 1 FA level 1 in talent identification, and it's a free course. So once you've got that, you can, on paper, start scouting. And I've been quite fortunate that once I've got that, I've worked at clubs and then they've put me through my other badges. And that included how my coaching career come around as well. But that's probably the easiest way into it. There's other things, like I do a bit of work with the PFSA up in Manchester, to be fair. So I do a bit of work with them. go to their talent ID days. So they do a few of them each year. And getting into scouting is probably easier now than when I come into it quite fortunately. Knew somebody who knew somebody. But it's probably the easiest it's been now to get into it for a long time. But the caliber of scouts has gone up a lot.
As I guarantee him. We'll ask Iain at the end of this. He'll probably do that course. I know what Ian's like. He'll probably get straight in there.
Probably already have, actually, to be fair, but yeah.
But yeah, straight in. And you know, with data when you're scouting players, then Owen. So do you get? Is there a certain age group where you might get some data? At what point do you move from getting data and getting videos to going to watch a player, or do you more just watch teams play and think actually that player looks pretty good? How would it work? Maybe at a Leicester or a West Brom level?
So again, data is massive now. From when I first started in 2017-18 to now, the change is ridiculous. Like I'd just go out and watch a player previously and somebody else would do all the data. But now you look at the data, you compare them to what you got, because you don't want to bring in somebody that's the same level of what you've already got. You want somebody who's better than that.
Yeah.
So there's no point bringing in two Bs if they're going to be the same. You want an A to take over that B. So that's the way you look at it now, and data backs up visible scouting. But for me, I always get eyes on him because a video can be deceiving. You don't know, with like everything you can crop, you can do it. I can make myself look like a half decent footballer, but data backs up. So I like to do both of them, but data is very key.
Yeah, and I suppose with the data as well, sometimes you can't see on, say, a spreadsheet, say, the technique of the player or how well they strike the ball. So they might look good in the data, but then can they strike the ball maybe?
Yeah, it's that as well. But you can also see the mentality and the attitude of the player, because if you're watching a video with 22 blokes on a football pitch, the camera might turn that way, but you don't see their reaction off the ball. Whereas when you're watching them live, you tend to have tabs on who you're watching in that game. You don't normally go in blind, so you can sort of look out for them sort of things as well.
Yeah. Have you ever been to watch a player or get some data and think, okay, I'm going to watch Joe Bloggs, the left back, and when you watched the game, you thought, well, actually, the right back looks pretty good, and maybe I might start watching him. Have you ever done that and changed tact?
I've done it a few times when I did the younger stuff, like 14, 15-year-old. You'd go to watch one player, they weren't quite at the grade, but somebody else on a different pitch or a different position would sort of like catch your eye.
Yeah.
I've took a few of them in, to be fair, and a couple of them signed. So it's, as I say, football's a game of luck.
Yeah. Because remember when we played Sunday League, if you were ever in a team and there's a player that was really good, they tended to stand out, didn't they? You know, they tended to stand out in that team, because if you were quite average and they were really good, they'd stand out quite a bit. I don't know if you can answer this question then. Who's the best player you've ever scouted then? And that can be a young player who's caught your eye and really sticks out over the years? So
one player comes to mind. I'll say the name in a minute, but normally you don't watch one player. One person won't watch one player. You'll have 3 or 5, so you don't get a bias. So you'd always have somebody in favour or out of favour. But I worked on the Wesley Fofana one from St Etienne to Leicester. Boubacar Kamara to Villa. I think Diego Carlos. I'm trying to say good ones. I've had some bad ones as well.
Yeah, he was Marseille, wasn't he, Kamara? And
yeah.
Marseille, was he? Yeah.
So that was under Gerrard.
Yeah, and did he stand out quite a bit at Marseille, did he? Or
he was a joke. He could walk in there still to any... I'd put my career on it. Any top European team he'd walk into and start. Yeah,
because I felt Gerrard was quite unlucky because he got an injury, didn't he, Kamara, as well? And again, a bad
Carlos.
Injury. Yeah, and Carlos. Yeah, so that sets you back then. But certainly with Kamara, he's back playing, and Villa obviously they were doing very well, and he's a key part this season, is he? No, great.
He's massive, yeah.
Yeah. So I know you've mentioned combining scouting with other roles. So what brought you to? Is it the 9th tier? I think Paul said before. What brought you to the 9th tier, and how did that come about, and how you're enjoying it?
So it's sort of it's a weird one. I was working at Leicester and I covered some development centre sessions when they were short on staff, and I enjoyed it. Did my badges, and my first break into non-league, shall we say, was I was at a tournament in the summer scouting, and I knew the manager of this team where the tournament was held at Heather. And I'd known him for years and years, and we just got chatting again, having a catch up. And he was, "Oh, do you want to come in? I've just got the job. Do you want to come in and do some like unit work?" I was like, "Yeah, right then." So I was there, went in, really enjoyed my time there. I was there for a season, and just as a standard coach, goalkeeper coach. But then after that, I moved up a league. So I went to Gresi Rovers, which at the time Step 4, so the 8th tier. Again, loved my time there, and I followed that manager and the assistant manager then to various other clubs just as a coach. And then the end of last year, I went to Hena Town, so I sort of spread my wings on my own a little bit, and again loved it there. But I thought the time was right and the opportunity come up, and it was before I went on holiday to Dubai in May last year. I got a phone call from an unknown number, and I answered it, and it was like, I've just about to get the Ashby job. Would you be interested in coming in as a number 2? And from there on in, I haven't looked back, and I've probably gone 10 steps forward by just sticking behind the same manager, just being a coach for years and years, and I've got a lot of time for them. So yeah.
So where you're at the moment then again?
Ashby.
Yeah. So I looked at them because I've seen them. I think I've seen a picture on your LinkedIn. And what really surprised me, even quite low down, was the youth setup that they have as well. So they quite encourage quite a lot in their youth teams and trying to bring players through, don't they? I think they said you guys had about 500 kids on your book or something. Is that right?
Yeah, so they've invested heavily in the football pitch and the infrastructure at the club. So there's 3, I want to say, big 11-a-side pitches for the kids, for the juniors, and then obviously you've got the main first team pitch. But the pathway from juniors through to the first team is good. We've got, I think, our top scorer this season has come through the pathway.
Brilliant.
And he's 21, I think. So he was there last year. He stuck with us this year under the changes, and he's flourishing now. He's had a lot of offers, but again, he chose to stay with us. So for Ashby, it's similar to where I've worked before, because our catchment area is, you've got bigger clubs around us.
Yeah.
The pathway is probably more so there with us, and the opportunities to progress. Like around us, you've got Colville, who were 6th tier of English football like 2 years ago. Gresley, who have always been up and around there. Burton Albion, Loughborough, Shepshire. So you've got some big teams around us. So we've got to have that something different. And then we've always had that sort of community club still. So
yeah, and that's the most important thing, that age, isn't it? Playing football and playing week in, week out, or giving yourself the opportunity. Because certainly higher up, you'll sometimes see players get those big moves and then they might not play for a season or two, and all of a sudden they're on the decline, aren't they? You've got to try and play, I think, every week to continue that development. Would you say that was fair?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, like if you're coming and going, playing and not playing, you're going to lose development. Whereas if you can consistently play, improve, you're obviously going to enjoy it more, and you're going to put more time into it. So that's key for them.
Excellent. So I'll ask a final question. I'll bring the boys in then, see if they've got a couple of questions on the back of what we've spoke at. But I don't know if you can answer this. So I jotted down these questions at the very end. I put, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what route would you like to take in terms of managing, scout and coach? Where do you see that future for you, really, Owen?
So obviously, if I was to still stick with the scouting side of it, which you can do full-time, part-time, whatever, hybrid, I'd love to go to one of the top European sides.
Yeah.
So like your notorious ones, your big ones. But if I was to go down, when I got the Ashby job, I always expressed my interest that one day I do want to manage as high as I can. Like I come into it relatively young, so I've got non-league experience. I've got probably 5-6 years of solid coaching experience behind me. So I'd love to push myself into, I don't know, step 3. So what's that? The 6th tier of English football. Maybe push myself up into the managing routes, and fingers crossed, touch wood, everything that it pans out that way. Because within football, you can combine multiple roles into one. So
yeah. Well, listen, I think that's been brilliant, that, Owen, from my viewpoint, massively insightful. I'm very lucky to have you on as our first guest of 2026, so thank you very much. And I'll just open it up to the floor to Paul and Iain. I'm sure they might have a question or two, lads.
Yeah, I'll jump in. No, that was fantastic, Owen. Thank you so much. Really insightful and lots for us to kind of take away and talk about. So you mentioned before that you are looking for like opportunities abroad. Is there anywhere that you've got your eye on?
I'd love to go to Italy. If you look at the sort of players that I've sort of looked at, worked with in the past, they've always been big, physical, strong, maybe defenders, holding midfielders, but they've got the bit of flair about them that can dictate play. So I think the way I work and scout and coach is suited to that sort of market. So that's somewhere I've always had my eye on. But a few of my mates and that have gone out to like Saudi, Dubai, and coached out there. So I think that side of it also interests me. So thing with football, you could end up anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see it a lot with a lot of the English players now. They're moving to Italy, moving to Germany. That was something maybe 10, 15 years ago. It was very much homegrown and home based, and there was none of this kind of, you'd have the foreign players coming to England, but none of the English players moving out. But I think that's definitely a culture shift we've seen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Iain, and you want to you fire Owen's way?
Yeah, no, you'll own another team I follow, Witten Albion. We're in step 4, mate. So I've done a very basic scouting, looking at a couple of players in like step 11, that sort of thing. And not that you probably ever listened to me, but I've recommended players that we've looked at apparently. But yeah, I'll have a look at that course, mate. I love non-league. I'd like to get into it myself, but it's just a lot of it's who you know, isn't it? And people's opinions and that sort of thing. So I'm probably a bit too opinionated when it comes to football, mate. So I probably don't fit in, mate. But it's a good story you've got, mate. So keep going, man.
Yeah. It's probably a unique one that a lot of people say to me, like, you haven't played pro, have you got it? And it's literally, it's just who you know. It's same with non-league. So there's that mold definitely changed now than what it was probably 15 years ago, where you probably had to be an ex-pro or your dad was the manager of a Premier League team to get this sort of role.
Do you ever watch Bunch of Amateurs on YouTube?
Yeah.
That's my Sunday night go-to. I love that because it's obviously started at Park Leagues 26 years ago, and now they're in step 2, as we call it. So yeah, that is the dream to, for my Sunday team to get there. Even just to some sort of non-league level would be great, but baby steps, mate. So.
Iain, you're pushing for the title this year in your Sunday League team, aren't you?
Well, I was 6 points off top, 2 games in hand. So, well, the most frustrating thing is we'd be playing a reserve team on Sunday who are top, but their first team are in like the top div. So all they do is just when they play us, when we played them away, they brought 8 first teamers in.
Did they?
So they've got about 50, 60 players registered, something daft like that, to just bring all the top lads in, all like 22, 23, absolutely rapid. I mean, they beat us 5-3 away. The ref was shocking. But our player got studs down his face, and they went ahead, carried on and scored. And it was like the ref gave the goal. It was like an absolute joke. So,
blimey.
Yeah.
They'll get better playing against better players here.
Well, exactly, mate. Sunday's a big test. So,
yeah, great stuff. And for you, Owen, next week again, if you start following the pod, with some of the countries you mentioned before, we might have someone on next week who's a coach in a Premiership. He's moved overseas again. Just contact him on LinkedIn. He said, he'd jump on. So keep an eye on that one for us, yeah?
Yeah, we'll do. No worries.
Any other questions, lads?
I've got a random one. Do you ever come across a striker called Talani Amentola? I think he played for Colville, striker. He was at Tranmere years ago. I think he's had more clubs than Tiger Woods, but he's one of them strikers that always scores. Yeah. But when he said Colville, I'm sure he played for them at one point. But
I can't say I've come across him, but it wouldn't surprise me. Obviously, they were like step 2, step 3 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, great player. Yeah, but tend to move around, don't they?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Owen, a massive thank you for coming on again. We'll follow your progress. Obviously, I follow you on LinkedIn. You'll have to follow the pod, but also on Instagram as well. And we'd love to have you back on again and just see how your journey's going, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, top man. Well, listen, thank you very much, Owen, again. That was absolutely brilliant. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Owen. Nice one.
All the best.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant stuff. Well, that was Owen Barry, who was telling us about his scouting journey. Really interesting stuff there, boys. That was, some great stories that he told us about.
Yeah, great. Seems like a great lad as well. Which is good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, Iain, I was going to talk to you about Rugby, but you've kind of just gone into it a little bit. So I guess we might as well go straight into music. What have you got for us this week, buddy?
Yeah, no, I picked this. I'm sure the Scottish band called The Caves with a K, Aves. That tune I put on the chat earlier on. To be fair, whoever does their social media, again, class, really good. I'm trying to think. I always try and compare them to other bands, but I don't know. There isn't really many bands I can compare them to. But they're called that tune's called Super Glue. They play at Manchester on March the 28th with a promoter called Scruff of the Neck. They've been around for a good while now. But yeah, no, definitely worth checking out if you like sort of Scottish indie. We've talked about Irish music a lot on this podcast, so nice to. Well, we've talked about Pro Gear, they're Scottish, aren't they? But yeah, no, it's a good one to have a listen to. But it's very anthemic. I think probably the best word to describe that tune is. So have a listen on that one. And then I've just picked out a band that have been around for maybe 9 to 10 years. They're called Clean Cut Kid, which is a husband and wife from Liverpool. They were a 4-piece, I don't know if they still are, but he brought out a self-produced album a couple of weeks ago. It's called 7 Sounds Forever. His wife, I think her name is Evelyn, also plays with Bill Ryder Jones. He used to be in the Coral. She's got her own solo stuff as well. I think it's called something Snake. I do apologise, but yeah, no, definitely worth checking out. There's a couple of tracks on there. Keep on Loving You, Anxiety Dreams, that came out back end of last year. So they're from Liverpool. Hopefully, they're going to do some gigs at some point. But a very quick story about Clean Cut Kid. They've got a tune called Emily. My daughter's called Emily, and when one of my bands were playing at Sound City, we got some nice guest list passes, and then we bumped into the full band at Sound City, and Emily, my daughter, had a picture with them. I knew this is the most nicest people you ever met. So, you know, it's I'll never forget that. So if I bumped into him again, I'd say that to him because they're lovely. So, but yeah, that's it from me this week. Oh, Zach Bryan's got a new album out on Friday. So if you like Zach Bryan, country music, he's playing at Anfield in the summer as well. So definitely worth checking out.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. Thanks, Ace. So we've added all of those songs onto our pod playlist. So we'll make sure they're on there ready with a little widget on the screen as we always do.
Nice.
How's your gigging scene? I know you were kind of reining it back a little bit in Liverpool, but anything at Cash?
Yeah, so we're going to do Cash hopefully the last Thursday of Feb. In a weird way, I sort of like when I saw the January listings for the Jacaranda, my name wasn't on that list. It was a bit of a weird feeling, really, because I'm always Soft Lad Presents, blah, blah, blah. I was like, my name's not on that list. Felt a bit weird, but we did that last gig in December, which wasn't the greatest attended, but it was still decent. So yeah, ideally last Thursday of the month. I'm going to ask. Last year we had the Heavy North on, we had Casino, with some really good bands. I'm going to try and speak to them again, see what we can do. But there isn't really a great deal of budget there, but I'm sure we can sort something out. So as soon as I know, it'll be the last Thursday of the month at Cash. But yeah, looking forward to getting back to there, really. Excuse me. And yeah, just back to the normal world of football on Sundays and Saturdays and stuff like that. So,
excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So we've covered music. We've spoken to Owen about his scouting journey. Do we talk about Liverpool? Is it a good time to be talking about Liverpool?
Shall I give you one stat I've got on Liverpool? So again, this came through from one of our friends, Chris, who listens to the pod as well. He put, just received, my phones went off. Just received a stat, needs fact checking, but the numbers look right. Slaughter's lost 19 matches in a calendar year in 2025, 14 of which following a PSG defeat, and include 9 losses in 12 during that period. Now, I know he steadied the ship. Has he steadied it enough, do you think? I know you gave him a couple of games last time, and he's grinded a couple of results out, hasn't he? A couple of wins, a couple of draws, steadied it a little bit. What are your thoughts on him now?
Do you know what, mate? I'm still thinking given to the end of the season, definitely. I would have liked to have seen Harvey Elliott back, but apparently there's no, what's the word, thingy clause to get him back. I'm actually off to the game on Monday night, hopefully, so that'd be decent. I don't know whether Jayden Danns is fit. I'd like to see him get more minutes. Even on off the bench on Sunday, potentially just gone. I don't know what is if he's injured or not. I can't remember. But yeah, there was a few people on my Facebook, social media, whatever, calling for Slot's head about 7 or 8 games ago. I'm not one of them people, mate. Like to call for his head because I think he's a good manager. So we'll see, mate. Still got the FA Cup, haven't we?
Yeah. You're desperate for Danns to get fit and get a crack, aren't you? You like him, don't you? His energy.
I do, mate. I just think he's raw and he's just, I'm not saying he's like Robbie Fowler, but he's just constant running. And he's from Liverpool. His dad had a good career as well. So yeah, I just think he's a good player, really. I like to see Bachet. I can't ever say his name. Bacegic, I think it is. How do you pronounce it? The Spanish kid. I'd like to see him get some minutes as well. But there's also that Will Wright we signed from Salford. He scored 5 the other day in under 21, so you might get a look in on Monday night. We don't know, but it'd be decent to see some youngsters come through. As long as we win, I'm not too bothered to play.
Yeah, you had a good shout about Bacegic, and you forget he's there. A little bit like Endo as well. Some of the players that we've still got on the books, you go, goodness me, are he even still here? And I think a couple of years ago, Bacegic, you were looking at him going, this is a kid who could really break through. And again, it's one of those where it stalls. He went out on loan. It probably wasn't as successful as what we wanted it to be. But I'd really like to see him get some more minutes. You look at the likes of Ramsey at right back. He has very much stalled, and he's got obviously more players in front of him now. That's going to be a difficult progression. But again, whenever he's played, you look and go, he looks handy. He looks really useful.
Yeah, he did all right. So, I was at that Palace game in the Mickey Mouse Cup. He did all right, but obviously he got beat. But I thought he did okay. Some good big tackles, which is always good.
I agree with you. I thought probably about 2 years back, this is the best crop of young players I've seen in quite a while. I've said this a couple of times through Quanta and Elliott and Doak and Morton, who went to Leon, and I won't try and pronounce his name, neither Iain, but I thought he was brilliant at first. He looked so talented in midfield. But they all seem to have been shipped out, don't they, all of them?
Yeah. Quanta, yeah, he made a couple of mistakes. Yeah, he got subbed off against Ipswich first game of the season, a couple of seasons ago. But, I know the German game is technically slower, so they say, but still a great standard. So,
but young lads make mistakes, don't they? And the older they get, the more experience they get, and normally the less mistakes they make.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not comparing Premier League to my Sunday League, but we had a lad who went from, under 17s football to open age football his first season. He was a bit of a rabbit in the headlights, but this season, his second season with adults, he's been outstanding. So, same sort of comparison, really. Just get that first touch of the ball, first tackle in, move the ball up the pitch, and away we go. But yeah, I'm still hopeful that we'll do good things. I still think we'll finish top 4. I'd like to see us get further in the Champions League, obviously, and then FA Cup would be nice as well. But
I don't know whether you've seen the press interview from today. Thought it was quite interesting that Slot name-checked the FA Cup as one of the cups that he wants to go for. Yeah. Very different to what he said about the Carling Cup, where it's not called the Carling Cup, I'm old, where he dismissed it out of hand. So whether he's learned that lesson about how it comes across and not competing, admittedly the FA Cup, as we're all aware, is third in the pecking order, but maybe he has learned a bit of a lesson about how he treats the competition and how that kind of works forward. Did he get a little bit bitten on the backside last time around? And when we got knocked out, Plymouth Argyle.
There you go, yeah.
Plymouth Argyle knocked us out last time around.
Last minute winner, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. So maybe he's thinking he'll treat this time around with a bit more seriousness than he did last time. Because again, it was a makeshift side, and it should have still been enough to beat Plymouth Argyle. It should be enough to beat Barnsley, playing half the team. And to be honest, I think with some of the injuries we've got and the way the players are playing, it looks like they need a rest already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because he's not rotated, as he's had no confidence in the fringe players really, so he's not really rotated. So here's a question, and a final question for us then. If Slot was to go, who would you want as manager?
Great question, Mr. Murphy, Squire. Apart from myself, I'm trying to think really.
I know I had one, but I don't know if he'd be too out of reach.
Go ahead.
Luis Enrique at PSG. I'd love to break the bank and get him, but knowing look, if he wants a new challenge, he's already done Spain and Barcelona. He wouldn't go anywhere else like Italy. PSG, he won the league, I think, last season by about 20, 30 points. So if he wanted a new challenge, would he wait till Pep goes and go to City and have a bit of an open checkbook because he spent a bit of money at PSG? But the way he plays, I mean, we raved about them all last season, didn't we? PSG, it was like a Klopp team, wasn't it? A little bit the way they attack.
I was going a bit left field here, and I probably get totally laughed at or shot.
Go on, we'll clip this bit, Iain.
You can clip it out, but I really like the guy.
Sorry, I meant clip it in.
Yeah, no, clip it in, fine. It's, my opinion is shite anyway. I really like the guy at Brighton. So I know he's not had the best of seasons, but I think what he did at São Paulo was unreal. He took him from 10th place finish to win Bundesliga 2 to staying in the Bundesliga, and I know they're near the bottom now, still in the Bundesliga. But I think he's a great manager. So
he's the young manager. Is it
Fabian Hertzler?
The only thing I don't like about that, and what my reservation would be, is sometimes the style of football, they keep the ball quite a bit and quite a lot without actually creating chances. Sometimes that would be the only whether the Anfield crowd and you on a Monday night, whether you'd fall for that. But that record you said there is unbelievable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, people don't look past like Bundesliga. They just look at the top division. You don't understand. I'm not saying you don't understand, but it's Bundesliga 2 is notorious. It's a bit like Championship.
Yeah,
it's a hard division to get out of, even win. So
yeah, and to be fair to him, when did he go to Brighton? Was it last season or this season? Was it
last season? I think.
Yeah, so he's still early days for him. He's still early in his career, isn't he? So yeah.
You look at people like who are on Sky, and people like has-beens like Tim Sherwood and people like that. They only like sort of flavour the month for like a couple of years, and then he just disappears.
He don't widen the net, look a little bit deeper.
No.
Paul, who was you?
I'm similar to you, Col. Unfortunately, it won't fit the LFC profile which we've seen in the past. So I very much like Luis Enrique. I always liked Hansi Flick. I think he's a fantastic manager. Whether he may be getting bored of the financial constraints of Barcelona, maybe not. It's Barcelona at the end of the day. Looking around, obviously we've got a manager. The likes of Manchester United haven't. One of the things I've found really interesting is looking back, talking with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick as an interim. I think they could do far worse than someone like a Glasner. He's got European trophies under his belt. He's done a very, very good job at Crystal Palace, won them a trophy, got them into Europe. There's far worse managers and far worse options for Manchester United than someone like that who could come in, steady the ship, get them on an even keel. But long may it continue. They just seem to be continuing to improve, which is fine.
I think I'm going to Iain's shout there. I've probably been harsh on that shout, Iain, because the reason being is, I say the style of football Brighton play, but everyone plays that way now, don't they? Very few teams don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we shall see, mate. We shall see. What's your predictions? Score predictions for tomorrow?
I think we'll get results. I think we'll get results. I think there'll be goals in it. And I think we'll get a result. I think the crowd will be up for it. I think it'll be a bit faster paced than normal. I think Arsenal will be trying to play the clock down and trying to probably play at Arteta will be up to his antics on the line only. And I think that'll get the crowd going, as done in the past. So for me, I'm going to go. It is at Anfield tomorrow, isn't it? I'm speaking with that. Is it at
Anfield? It's at the Emirates.
Oh, you'll have to cut all that bit out then as well, won't it? No, I'm not hopeful now. I've said all that. What 1-1 I'll go.
I go for 1-1.
What's he done on the predictor? So Colin, bear in mind, has done 3-1 to Arsenal on our predictor. I've done 2-0 to Arsenal. So he's chopped and changed already. I think the Forest result last night has sent your head west a bit, Col.
Yeah, I've had a busy week. Mate. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I only just got on this podcast about 2 minutes before it started.
Well, to be fair, this is the worst week of the year. You're back after Christmas and New Year. Probably your first full week back in work. This is as bad as it gets. So, upward trajectory. That's where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Fab, should we wrap it there, boys?
Yep. Yeah. It's been emotional.
Oh, absolutely. Cheers, boys. Great back.
Cool. Take it easy.
See you later.
Bye. See ya.
Can I take another?